Hey, Skiba News Nation family. Welcome to our weekly Sunday live stream. How are you guys doing?
Hey, howdy.
Doing
Hello.
pretty good. What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us live for our live stream extravaganza.
Extravaganza.
Yes.
Yeah, we got some cool topics.
Whole bunch tonight, and I think we could probably run some polls over on YouTube and see, like, going forward in future live streams, do people prefer our conspiratorial topics on these evenings, or do you prefer more news, or do you want us to just kind of hang out and be ourselves? Not that we're not going to do that in either scenario, but yeah, man, we got some really interesting stuff to talk about tonight.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And I got something for tonight too. So it's like it's like an episode, but more deeper and more live, more alive.
Much more life. So yeah, guys, if you're joining just now, make sure to drop a like and help our stream out. It doesn't cost you anything, and if you like what we're doing, support what you like.
Yeah, and then I'll blow this whistle every time we get a super chat.
You need some practice.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Awesome. Well,
right,
shoot, guys, you want to start with a meme? I think memes are great places to, kick things off.
Memes are the best, bro. So yes.
Yeah, let's see. This
Absolutely.
one is this one's Mom, what does it mean when someone says trust the science? It means shut up and obey us, sweetheart. Oh, man. Yep. Well, let's just start it lighthearted because we're going to get into World War III and signs of the Chinese preparing for imminent battles in Israel and all kinds of different things like that. But tonight we're going to have fun. You guys let us know what your thoughts are as we're discussing topics or watching videos, and we'll share your thoughts live in the show.
Yep. Cool, man.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Yeah, let's get right into it. This first video that I think is very interesting because of all of the contention between Israel and the Palestinian side and Gaza and the conflict there. I think it's very interesting that just recently Chinese planes have broken through the Israeli government's blockade and have entered the Gaza Strip to deliver food and aid. Very interesting. Check this video out, which shows the drop happening live. All right, so here we go. Alrighty, so what we're seeing there is massive supply drops on Gaza from China, right? And what's interesting to me is that not only is China breaking through and going contrary to the blockade that Israel had put around Gaza and now are starting to deliver their own aid and supplies. Coinciding with this, we have a very interesting scene playing out where Chinese citizens are being emergency evacuated from Israel. Check this out. What's happening in Israel? The Chinese government is urgently evacuating its citizens. And this is in the, the same time frame that we're getting these supply drops to Gaza. Interesting. Man, all those Chinese all those Chinese Christians that finally
I thought I knocked you off the screen. I was like, what the heck?
No, I was just I was commenting on the fact that, you know, they're in Israel as tourists. You can assume either that or they're doing some kind of business. But if they're there as tourists, they're like, yes, we finally got away from the Chinese government's control of our Christian faith and beliefs. Let's go to Israel and explore Jerusalem and relive the roots and the scenery that we've read in our Bibles that are so banned. And then as soon as they get there, the Chinese government's like, all Chinese citizens, please report to the nearest airport and emergency evac right back to China.
Man,
What does this echo? What is this kind of symbolizing that is coming in the near future? You can only kind of speculate, but when you have a country like China removing their citizens, you can only assume that it's for a reason. And particularly, we covered in our recent Skiba News Nation episode about the Golden Dome. What did you guys think about the Golden Dome?
now is that like the Iron Dome?
I think it's more golden.
Yeah, gold new era or whatever. But
It's a Trump golden dome.
I still don't understand how that works. For real, it's just I don't know. My mind can't comprehend what it is. Is it like where stuff can't detonate, or like frequencies? What is it?
Yeah, it's going to be a protective shield over the U.S. And the reason I bring this up is because it ties into this topic of the movement of China. And if you guys want, we can watch 3 or 4 minutes of the Trump announcement about the Golden Dome just to refresh what it's about, and then we can talk about it.
Sweet.
Yep.
I'm down.
All right, here we go. This is the video. We shared portions of it during our Skiba News Nation episode last week. But this is what Trump announced just recently.
A historic announcement about the Golden Dome missile defense shield. That's something we want. And Ronald Reagan wanted it many years ago, but they didn't have the technology. But it's something we're going to have. We're going to have it at the highest level. I want to thank Secretary Hegseth, who's been fantastic, and Secretary Rubio and Space Force Vice Chief of Space Operations, General Mike Gutlein. I also want to recognize Senators Dan Sullivan, Kevin Kramer, and Jim Banks, fantastic senators, great talents, great political talents, and people that love our country. In the campaign, I promised the American people that I would build a cutting-edge missile defense shield to protect our homeland from the threat of foreign missile attack. And that's what we're doing. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we have officially selected an architecture for this state-of-the-art system that will deploy next-generation technologies across the land, sea, and space, including space-based sensors and interceptors. And Canada has called us, and they want to be a part of it. So we'll be talking to them. They want to have protection also. So as usual, we help Canada do the best we can. This design for the Golden Dome will integrate with our...
Hold on. Hold on. I just have to say this because I think it's funny. You're telling me Canada wants us to make our Golden Dome just a little bit bigger just for them?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I read somewhere that said that there are blind spots in the Golden Dome, and that we did need to have Canada involved to cover some of those blind spots.
Well, you know what horrifies me is that, like, I never knew what that was until the Israel thing happened. And then kind of when he said that, I was like, we don't already have one of those? Like, we're an easy target?
Well, it's like Reagan tried to implement it. I can't remember what it was called, Star Wars or Star something or
I think it was Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah, and Congress never got on board with it. So, and other countries like Russia and what have you, they were all up and.
How would a space shuttle go through the Iron Dome?
Golden Dome.
Iron Dome, Golden Dome. How would it get through that, right?
Not only that, but think about the number of like claimed satellites in the atmosphere, like going back and forth, back and forth. I mean, are they going to be policing satellites? I mean, and if a satellite has some kind of directed energy weapon capability, then I mean, who knows what they're trying to protect us from? And you know things are about to kick off when they start to announce things like this, because as he's going to claim later in the video that it's going to take like 3 or 4 years for them to build this system. And so that's 3 or 4 years that they're telling everybody in the world stage, we don't have that protection yet.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of frightening. Very frightening.
Oh man, you guys want to keep listening, or what do you think?
Yeah, I always love listening to President Trump talk.
Existing defense capabilities and should be fully operational before the end of my term. So we'll have it done in about 3 years. Once fully constructed, the Golden Dome will be capable of intercepting missiles, even if they are launched from other sides of the world, and even if they are launched from space. And we will have the best system ever built. As you know, we helped Israel with theirs, and it was very successful. And now we have technology that's even far advanced from that, but including hypersonic missiles, ballistic missiles, and advanced cruise missiles. All of them will be knocked out of the air. We will truly be completing the job that President Reagan started 40 years ago, forever ending the missile threat to the American homeland. And the success rate is very close to 100%, which is incredible when you think of it. You're shooting bullets out of the air. I'm also pleased to report that the one big, beautiful bill will include $25 billion for the Golden Dome to help construction get underway. That's the initial sort of a down deposit. And we have probably, you're talking about, General, we're talking about $175 billion total cost of this when it's completed. This afternoon, I'm also announcing that I will appoint, very importantly, General Gutlein to lead the ambitious new effort as the direct reporting program manager for the Golden Dome. Very talented man, and I'm very honored to have been the one that helped or really created Space Force. Space Force has turned out to be a tremendous success. We were third in space, and now we're number one in space by a lot.
Okay, quick comments on just Space Force in general. I mean, what did you guys first think of when Trump proposed Space Force back in his first administration?
Well, I don't think we landed on the moon or can even do that, but I think it's a cool idea. It was a cool logo, but other than that, I don't really have any thoughts. Yeah. Well, he let the supporters pick the logo. It was a poll, and there were 3 different options, and I don't remember what I picked. Probably the ugliest one.
Yeah, I think it was so crazy that it looked almost exactly like the Star Trek Enterprise logo, you know, that like little swoop.
Yeah.
Man. And just the name of it, of course, is so interesting. Star for like the it's just, man.
Starlink, Space Force, so many different things.
Sounds like
They're all
something
kind of
on
connected.
sounds like something from Cartoon Network.
It really does. It really does. Oh man. So this next segment, he keeps talking about pretty much what it is that's going to make this happen, and then he passes it over to these guys, and here's a picture of the Golden Dome. So let's play this a little bit and hear what the general or whatever says after this, because this is apparently the square area that the Golden Dome protects, right? But the question is, what about Hawaii? What are we going to do for Hawaii? Because it's not in this Golden Dome, and they're the last ones who have received a nuclear threat. If you remember that a few years ago.
Let's just pull them towards the big United States, you know?
They'll make
One
a
on each
mini
side.
dome.
Yeah, mini domes.
Okay, so here's why I bring this up, and forgive me for not going ahead and just playing the video right away. But if Israel is the Iron Dome and we are the Golden Dome, then perhaps it could be said that Hawaii will be the Coral Dome. Can you guys vibe with me on that? Come on.
Yeah. And Houston, well, I was going to say Houston could have the Astrodome. But
Well,
They're in Texas.
Hawaii could also be the Coconut Dome.
Or the coconut. Hey, that works. It's even the right shape too.
Half a coconut.
And then Russia's going to come back and be like, oh, you know, we're coming up with our own dome. It's called the Bear Dome. Boar Dome. No,
Boar
I'm
Snow
sorry.
dome.
The Snow Dome. Canada was banking on the Snow Dome, but they decided they'd save more money by going under the Golden Dome.
Right. Makes sense.
All right, guys, here we go. We're going to play the video now.
Operational control after the previous administration allowed an invasion of people into our country. President Reagan 40 years ago cast the vision for it. The technology wasn't there. Now it is, and you're following through to say we will protect the homeland from cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, hypersonic missiles, drones, whether they're conventional or nuclear. It's not lost on me, sir, also that you had the vision to start the Space Force. And here we are when the others said we didn't need it, here we are in the Oval Office with one of the leaders of the Space Force in General Gutlein, leading the charge on putting in place a game-changing Golden Dome for America. So, sir, it's an honor to be a part of this bold initiative. We're going to get to work on it. We have been since you signed that executive order on January 27th. We've been fast forward on this. We're here on this day, and this is just one stop in delivering this defense of the homeland, which is something you've charged us with doing. And we'll keep going until it is complete, sir.
Thank you, Pete. Pete's doing a great job, by the way. Thank you very much. General, please.
President, today is a great day for the nation as we double down on protection of the homeland. As you're aware, our adversaries have become very capable and very intent on holding the homeland at risk. While we have been focused on keeping the peace overseas, our adversaries have been quickly modernizing their nuclear forces, building out ballistic missiles capable of hosting multiple warheads, building out hypersonic missiles capable of attacking the United States within an hour and traveling at 6,000 miles an hour, building cruise missiles that can navigate around our radar and our defenses, and building submarines that can sneak up on our shores, and worse yet, building space weapons. It is time that we change that equation and start doubling down on the protection of the homeland. Golden Dome is a bold and aggressive approach to hurry up and protect the homeland from our adversaries. We owe it to our children and our children's children to protect them and afford them a quality of life that we have all grown up enjoying. Golden Dome will afford that. I greatly appreciate your trust in me and your nomination in me and your trust in the team to deliver this. It is a great day for America.
And also, very importantly, it's we're the only ones that have this. We call it super technology. Nobody else has it. And nobody else has really near what we have. So this is a very exciting project. This is something that will, the general said close to 100% protection. So that's something we need. I think it's and everything's going to be made in the USA, by the way, very importantly.
Everything's going to be made in the USA. Okay, so let's stop there for that video.
I got a question. Why does the general's uniform look like a bellhop?
I would say nobody else disagrees with how strange that looks.
I don't know if you noticed, but it looks exactly like a bellhop. He's got the little stripes down the side of his pants. His vest has got all these buttons at an angle. The only thing he's missing is the little hat.
Have you seen the military garb of other nations? Pretty strange.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's funny.
So, okay, why is this thing of the Golden Dome interesting and important? Here's another picture for us. U.S. tests new super hypersonic jet engine that can reach Mach 6 straight from the runway. And you know what they did here is they bought the schematics to one of the Falcon 9 rockets from Elon Musk, and they just laid it down on its side. And that's what they said. Hey, bada bada bing bada boom, we got a rocket now. And Elon Musk is just like counting his money. He's like, I'm going to turn the other way because you can't tell me that rocket technology that we've seen with SpaceX is not going to be used for military purposes, or like, I mean, unless they have something even better that they're just like, that's we're light years ahead of that. Space Force.
Space Force.
Hey, check this out. This is tied to the topic of China and their disagreement with the Golden Dome, which is why watching them withdraw citizens from Israel and also them breaking the Gaza Strip kind of blockade is interesting. Check this out. China issues warning to Donald Trump after he reveals plans for the $175 billion Golden Dome system. So they're, voicing their concerns about the use of this Golden Dome and what that means. But the reason I talk about this is because there's some interesting things that I've been paying attention to in the heavens. Did anybody see this on the evening of May 24th, 2025? That was just last night as of this live stream.
Mm-mm.
Well, if you had a clear view of the sky, you had this very interesting alignment happen with the moon and Venus. And I was like, oh, I love what's happening in the heavens. It's always interesting to me. And then I look here and I'm like, oh, man, that looks really similar to this. And what is that? That is the Islamic star. It's used in many countries that are Muslim countries use it as their symbology. And so in the midst of all these things happening on the world stage, the escalation of events in the Middle East with China and all this, we have this interesting sign in the sky that happens, right? And I'm not telling you what it means, but I always like to make correlations because I think hindsight prophecy is 2020, right? But in hindsight, and what that means is we see these patterns and we can go like, okay, I take note that happened. Maybe it was warning us of something. And then when something happens, we can see if there's a pattern of recognition in what's, playing out that we can be like, oh, well, there's a correlation with these world events and these things that were happening. And it's Islam in the sky. That's right.
That's actually the Turkish flag.
Yes.
Red background, moon and Venus.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely, I pay attention to stuff like that. I don't know if that's like the manifestation of their whole symbology and that it's signifying that there's going to be an escalation of the conflict between, Muslims and Jews and Palestine and Israel and Gaza and, all the different perspectives there. But this guy, now I'm next video I'm going to share, I don't agree with all of his opinions. But he shares several news stories succinctly that tie into what we're talking about right now. So check this video out.
And when they say peace and safety, sudden destruction shall fall upon them. This is getting very interesting. Talk about the logo in 1 minute.
To so many decades of conflict, finally it is within our grasp to reach the future that generations before us could only dream about, a land of peace, safety, harmony, opportunity.
And that sounds good, right? But
so, I'm sharing this because of the clips that it contains. He talks about peace and safety at these Abraham peace accords that were happening with Saudi Arabia and the U.S. And there's major world changes coming up. If some of these Islamic nations join the Abraham peace accords, it'll totally change the stressors in the Middle East because, you'll have Islamic nations acknowledging and siding with Israel in these peace accords.
the powers that be are purposefully trying to push into a revelation scenario. This logo, by the way, is 3 6s, just like the Large Hadron Collider, which has quite literally ousted themselves for doing alchemy and creating gold out of other materials. Alchemy. That was the goal of alchemy. And of course, it's no surprise at all. The program is called Alice. Get it? Alice? I'll have to do a video tomorrow decoding that. But back to Revelation.
Yeah, really quick, since he mentioned it, what did you guys think about that news about CERN creating gold? Did you catch that on the recent circuit?
I haven't heard that, but that's very, very interesting.
Yeah, well, they've been trying to create gold out of everything, and it's always cost more to create it.
Then it makes it more valuable. Just kidding.
Yeah. I will say that logo of the peace accords looks very similar to the same shape of CERN, where it's the overlaid triple swirls.
Mhm.
And so it's like, come on, who's the logo designer to these big political or country, symbols? There's got to be somebody behind the scenes that's like, yeah, just copy and paste the 666 logo and we'll call it a day, right?
Yeah, or they just want to draw attention to it like we do with Truth or Con.
Yeah.
It's like a massive troll.
Yep. All right, let's finish this video off, and we have some other things to talk about.
And the obvious 666. To prove it's being pushed, I made this video talking about the Mahdi and how I showed you that he was a 3-letter and a 5-letter organization frontman. Go back and watch the video. They literally put him in place, both here in the US and over there in the Middle East. The Middle East, you get it? And they did this deal behind these people's back. Remember Zechariah 12-14, also in the latter days, last time's revelation, when all the armies of the world circle these people right here. At the same exact time, giant earthquakes happening every single day all over the world. Right after the news said that West Coast is going to have their top blown off in 10,000 earthquakes in one day. Nations against nations, kingdom against kingdoms, famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. But why are we having so many earthquakes? And why are we having so many solar flares? Do you know why? Famine, South Africa, GAZA, really all over the place. Things are being pushed. And if you know, you just know.
Okay, yeah. So kind of interesting, some of the clips that he had strung together, and it ties into what we're talking about tonight. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but this story caught my attention. UFOs apparently are currently swarming U.S. military zones, and one just crashed into a fighter jet.
Man, it's so crazy because I didn't hear this story, and that's what alarms me is that, like 5 years ago, if this had happened, oh my gosh, it would have been everywhere. Nobody talks about these kind of things anymore.
Yeah, it happened as of 6 days ago. And it says UFO crashes into U.S. Air Force fighter jet over Arizona. Guys, we're living in a day and age where news like this is getting lost. That is, dude, you're right on point there, Jeremiah. It's so crazy that, like, man, this is happening in our world today. Like, if we were back in the 80s and 90s after Roswell, this is like our dream. Like, this is people lived and died for the truths of the secrets covered up in those early UFO exposés. And if this kind of information got to the public back then, they would have totally been vindicated.
Yeah, somebody from our Discord chat, after show Discord hangout, said that he thinks that they're the military. Like all UFOs are military, which would be interesting. So maybe they just crashed each other,
Maybe that's what they're saying. They're trying to throw us off their tracks by saying, oh yeah, a UFO crashed into a fighter jet. And what it is the Air Force has not been educated on Star Force's activities. So like you have a bunch of DEIs that are like in the Air Force, that they can't be let in on the secret alleged. I'm just making this up as we go, guys. I'm trying to make it make sense.
It's a weather balloon.
aliens.
DEI aliens. That's hilarious. Oh, that needs to be a T-shirt, Jeremiah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'll get to working on it. Oh, it said they're balloons. Those are
they're weather balloons.
Yeah, weather balloons.
Yeah. Speaking of things in the skies, recently there's been an uptick in tornadoes. This is the 2025 tornado warnings chart for Central America. And I gotta be honest, man, I'm too close to the center of this red mush.
Well, I'll pray for you.
Hey, you're up here. I see it touching down here near Dallas too, though, man.
We got real lucky. Like, I think it was last week. It almost felt like every day of the week it was like tornado warning, and it looked fine outside, and then it would just come right through.
Had to go through the north. It was to the north of
it
us.
would just miss us, and I was like, man, we didn't even get any rain. And Lindsay was like, I can't even water the plants because she wanted it to rain. You don't want to double water it.
Do you have a shelter like Dorothy?
I don't necessarily have a shelter. There's a nearby basement that my family could evacuate to in the need for such. But yeah, we would be, you know, we're in a camper right now, so we would be like flying through the air. And you know, if I in the style of Up, Disney's Up, you know, I deploy my sails to my camper and I pop the balloons out, I'll be able to navigate the storm. So that's kind of my long-term goal for the airship, you know.
That'd be fun.
Well, hey guys, since we were talking about China, here's a really interesting video from The Rabbit Hole that talks about the dark truth about the Great Wall of China. Check this clip out.
Wall of China, one of the biggest wonders of the world, no? They say this this side is, see, where they throw the arrows to the enemies, and that's why they built this giant wall to protect China from their enemies. But you know what's interesting and very curious? This side is outside China. This side, no, I mean, this side is China, and this side is outside China. Meaning, this wall, the history is a lie. This wall was not built to protect China from these enemies. It's the enemies which are in this side are protecting themselves from China. So, the Chinese did not build this wall. Who built this wall? I'll tell you, research the Tartarian Empire, yeah? Which
the text subtitle said the Italian Empire was the one that oh funny. Man. Well, what do you guys think about that? Have you ever been to the Great Wall of China?
Nope.
I haven't.
Nope. And I had read an article about that where they are now thinking, because of the fact of it's backwards. The protection is on the opposite side, which means it possibly could be built by somebody else. So don't know who.
Yeah, maybe it's those aliens that are crashing into the jets at our Air Force. Same people.
Yeah, could be.
Some people have theorized, ancient Nephilim theorists have theorized that these walls were intended to keep giant tribes out of their country. And I guess it kind of borders Mongolia and that whole area. And the Tartarian Empire is an interesting topic. But I have to ask this, right? If China takes over the U.S. in World War III, does our southern border become the second Great Wall of China?
Possibly.
I mean, you know, maybe if they had more of their politicians kind of work with Biden and win the election, maybe that's why they were so against the border, you know, wall in the past, because they wanted the Chinese to come over here and construct a much more efficient wall.
Could be.
I don't know. But listen,
we're just asking questions, guys.
Yeah, we're going to need to make sure those ramparts are facing the right direction, though. You know,
right.
Or then else it becomes the Great Wall of Mexico, and then the tables have been turned, depending on which side the ramparts have put. So things to consider. Oh man. So this next video I want to talk about is very interesting. It's the CEO of Ocean Gate's wife. So she reacted to the fatal Titan sub implosion in this recently released video that shows the moment that the sub divers died. And she's listening to their expedition, and then something goes wrong. And it's not explicit. Don't worry. You don't got to cover your children's eyes or anything. You might have to cover your cat's ears. But with that said, this is the Ocean Gate CEO's wife's reaction to the fatal implosion scene.
About transceiver head moves around. 400 meters to go. Yeah. It should be about 500 meters, 30.
Did you hear that bomb?
What was that thing?
That was the moment. If you can hear closely, right there.
500 meters, 30. What was that thing?
Notice how the guy walked away.
He knew already, probably.
Yeah.
Man. And he got the camera out right away.
Weights. Titan drop 2 weights.
Copy. Titan drop 2 weights.
So he meant to go down fairly light. Think that.
That's so sad, man.
You know what's crazy about that is the #1 expert that day that was talking about it was James Cameron, of all people, because he's gone the furthest down into what they call Earth. You know, like he's been the furthest down, so he knows like all about pressure and stuff. And I was like, this is a movie director. You know, like how does he know? Why does he do all these things?
Yeah. You know, when we first brought this story on Skiba News Nation, I had the theory that they could have encountered like an ancient sea creature and, you know, it was being passed off as this accident that happened. But what happened was they were, you know, it sounds like the start of an amazing like adventure sci-fi novel where the Nemo-like crew is going to the depths and they look up out of their viewport window and staring them in the face is the head of the Leviathan, twice as large as the wrecked Titanic below. You know, like I was just like, man, I wonder like if something crazy like that happened. There's actually a biblical prophecy in the book of Isaiah that alludes to the concept that the kings of the earth will hide themselves under the oceans from the face of the Almighty, and that he will send the serpent to bite them. And this was written thousands of years ago before the concept of submarines actually existed. And so there's an interesting scriptural passage that kind of talks about the concept of people hiding under the water, which is what got me thinking about this whole theory of like, what if they got, you know, the Kraken or the Leviathan was what really took them out. But you know, it's obviously my heart goes out to that lady, and that's a very sad situation to see. I know that was covering a lot of our collective airwaves very recently.
You know, I think it was like MSNBC or one of the news channels actually went down on that same thing like a week before or something really close to when it did that. So that always kind of made me feel weird. Like, is it fake? No. That the news went all the way down and they control it with the PlayStation remote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you guys travel to the deep, you know,
Nope.
recesses of the ocean if you were given the opportunity?
Nope.
You don't
No,
want
thank
to. You don't want to go the same way as the adventurers.
Well, claustrophobic.
Man,
No,
well, you know,
and I don't want to jump out of a plane either, so I wouldn't go either way too far.
it would really depend on kind of the assurances that come along with the proposed journey. Because I saw that DreamWorks Atlantis movie back in the early 2000s, and I know when you encounter giant underwater lobsters that they can destroy even the most advanced tech. So you got to be careful with what adventures you go on.
That's for sure.
Well, this next video that I have to share with you guys is John Kennedy exposing the Biden Department of Energy for moving $93 billion of taxpayer money to NGOs in the last 76 days of his presidency, which is, it's obviously this is all coming out with the DOGE investigations and such, but it's interesting hearing it from these old seated politicians. It's like, I wonder if they really didn't know, you know, like you guys have been serving on this Congress and Senate for decades. You're telling me you're just now finding out. And so in these, interviews, everybody's acting surprised, but this is of course, it's humorous to me as the swamp gets exposed, how it goes down. Check this out.
My God. It's rare that I'm speechless. But I want to be sure I understood. The people running the Department of Energy for President Biden's administration shoveled $93 billion, not million, $93 billion out the door in 76 days.
Ooh-wee.
Is that right?
It is correct and distasteful.
The Department of Energy, in the 76-day period, gave or loaned money to entities that had no business plan?
Correct.
No financials?
Correct.
My God. I hope you'll turn down the boondoggles and refer the thieves to the Department of Justice.
That dude is so funny. He has like a whole compilation of what he says. I don't know how he does it.
Jeremiah, I think you found another button. Quick save. Turn down the boondoggles.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm working on the Obama one, and I got to put that one in there too.
Oh man. Yeah, very very hilarious. Here is let's see. Another strange event took place in the skies over Colorado. A giant white streak happened in the heavens, and it looked like this.
A massive white streak lighting up the sky over the western United States. It wasn't a meteor. It wasn't the Northern Lights. And if you guessed alien portal, sorry, still no. The real answer, even stranger. This glowing arc hung in the sky for nearly 10 minutes from Arizona to Montana, and it left people stunned, confused, and filming like crazy. Turns out it was a fuel dump from a Chinese rocket. Yeah, a rocket launched about an hour earlier and had just released 6 satellites into orbit.
You guys seeing how this all connects? Am I connecting things here? Okay, let's keep going.
Before re-entering, it dumped frozen methane fuel into the upper atmosphere. Those fuel crystals, they caught sunlight, reflected it back to Earth, and created this eerie ribbon of light.
If you want to know what somebody is...
You might...
Okay, so, guys, here's how the scenario plays out in my mind. You have some general or whatever standing out there looking up, and he sees this Chinese rocket dump its fuel over the U.S. And he's like, how are they allowed to do that? And he calls his buddy in Washington, and he's like, hey, we need a golden dome, because everybody's going to be talking about how China is sending rockets over the U.S. and doing this kind of stuff. And then what do you get? You get a golden dome announcement from the Trump administration. And then you have this kind of escalating of tension between China and Israel and the U.S. Oh, man.
Sounds good to me.
Truly dealing.
Sounds like...
If you want to...
All right, so let's see here. Because we have this talk of developing Space Force, this next video demonstrates that... we're not going to have certain people running our Space Force. We'll just put it that way. Let's hear from Donald Trump himself about how our military is going to be changing for the better.
The job of the U.S. Armed Forces is not to host drag shows, to transform foreign cultures, but to spread democracy to everybody around the world at the point of a gun. The military's job is to dominate any foe and annihilate any threat to America, anywhere, anytime, and any place.
So I guess it's no longer going to be a drag show military. So I guess that's good if we're heading towards World War III. I think, honestly, it adds a few points of Constitution during our die roll of this cosmic game of Risk.
Yeah, I mean, if they get offended, I mean, just so silly.
Yeah. Oh man. Hey, I meant to show this video earlier when we were watching, or when we looked at the picture of the spread of tornadoes during the 2025 season. But just recently, never before seen footage of a drone flying into a tornado. This is gonna blow your socks off. It's pretty cool to see. Check out this clip.
We're off to see the lizard.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. You can see like in the center of the tornado. What do you guys think? Did you guys ever see that old Twister movie?
Oh yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. What was it called? The Dorothy, the little things that they were trying to release in it so they could track it.
Yeah, tin cans with propellers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I forgot. What was the name of that? There's a recent program that had a really funny name. It'll come back to me. But so yeah, so we're going from the heights of the Golden Dome. We shared that clip of the woman listening to the implosion that happened in the recent tragedy of the explorers going down to see the Titanic. This next clip is a glowing jellyfish species that looks like an alien. So it all connects. All right, guys. And I just think you guys would appreciate this. To my understanding, this is not AI. So if you guys know more about this, perhaps share. But check out this creature that was recently filmed in the oceans.
Aliens definitely come from under the ocean, if there are.
That's what I'm saying, man.
That's
Look.
like a different technology. I mean, how is it doing that? It doesn't make any sense.
Now, in the description, it's called a Corsair jellyfish, is what somebody called it. But anyways, I'm just like, I'm putting the dots together, and I think you came to the conclusion that I did, is that aliens probably do come from the oceans. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, everybody's looking up while it's going underneath you, in the water.
Yeah. Yep. Well, guys, there's only one final story for the night. And guys, please leave your comments. And I know Jeremiah has a couple segments for us, but this next segment is the topic of the U.S. Treasury confirming the end of the penny. It's the end of an era, guys. Check it out.
Oh, man, no more smash pennies.
As of 3 days ago, the U.S. Treasury is confirming that the penny is going out of circulation. Good old Lincoln is going bye-bye. 1 cent coins will stop being used in the U.S. next year, the Treasury Department has confirmed. It marks the phasing out of the coins commonly known as pennies, which have been in circulation for more than 2 centuries. Final order, the penny was one of the first coins made by the U.S. Mint, but over the past 10 years, the cost of producing it has risen from 1.3 cents to 3.69 cents per coin. So it's more expensive to make them than it is to have them.
Yeah. And they're really good collectibles for some people.
Yeah. My biggest question here that I don't see answered is how are they phasing them out exactly?
Well, they're just stopping production on them. And it's going to take 50 years before they eventually go away. People still take the pennies and throw it into their little jar somewhere.
Or smash penny machine, where you put the penny.
So it's not going to go away overnight. It's going to take a long time for them to disappear. And shopkeepers and everything will still, use them for transactions. They'll
throwing
become
it.
There'll be a time when they won't be able to get rolls of pennies from the banks or anything because the banks won't have them from the treasury. But it's going to take a while.
Did you guys hear about who's going to be on the new quarter? They are changing it from a man to a woman, and they're changing it to Helen Keller. I made that up.
I almost
Yeah.
I almost believed you.
She couldn't see nor hear it being thrown.
Jeremiah, I can probably guarantee you somebody out there's put Helen Keller on a golden coin. You could probably get an ounce round or silver dollar with a.
Me and Lindsay want to go. There's where she grew up. There's like a whole museum. It's in a different state, but we're going to go out there and visit it. And so if you guys want us to film it and everything, let us know, because I'm going to ask so many questions because they have tour guides. I'm going to be like, how did you fly an airplane? How did you do this?
How did she speak in a British accent?
A British accent.
You know what I mean?
Please film whenever you visit the Helen Keller Museum. I would love to see your interactions with the tour guide and whatnot. Just to sum up the topic, it's really interesting, the phasing out of pennies in correlation with what we saw happen in 2021 with a change callback by many banks because of COVID. They actually were like not exchanging or giving out coinage. And so that's interesting that we've led to now the phasing out in the production cycle of pennies, but also it's at this end of the declaration of the creation of pennies that we have the rise in the crypto, market of the new golden age of America. So having these things happening simultaneously, there's definitely a correlation, and it's very interesting psychologically what this is communicating to Americans. While we understand that there's going to be probably pennies around if they don't do another big callback, which I wouldn't be surprised, that it makes me think other people are going, hold on, they're starting to shut down the change in the mints. I wonder if people are thinking that things are going to start to move towards the digital realm, and that creates a snowball effect of people trying to preemptively jump to the digital realm, which actually gets the snowball rolling in the first place. So it's kind of like it just causes, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way of we're canceling real money so that you guys can funnel yourselves towards, digital.
Yeah, for sure. Digital. I think that's all it's going to be, here pretty soon.
All right, Jeremiah, back to you, man. That's all the sets I had tonight.
Well, thanks, Jake. Great stories. I like how it all connects, like every time you do the news, it all connects together. And my brain doesn't work like that. I'm kind of all over the place, but yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. So I got a couple clips that I wanted to play with you guys. The first one is kind of funny, but it has a deeper meaning, and you'll understand because I'll bring it back to you guys after, and how it all connects. So here's the first one.
Is that a statue?
Oh, a dead raccoon.
Kind of funny.
Let me check your elbow. It's kind of fragile. Do you need a hug, buddy?
You're wearing a wig on your wig, I see.
That's just ridiculous. Please.
Grotesque.
I'll race you, okay? I win.
Torture. Again. Hey, dork. I almost stayed home this time. Quite a big wedding.
Wonder if those are natural.
Nope.
Are they gonna freeze you?
Repeat after me. I was born in a van down near the School of Erotic Dancing.
I was born in a van down near the School of Erotic Dancing.
I sought the mystical foreigner, and then I punished him.
I sought the mystical foreigner, and then I punished him.
I like when I munch on feathers.
I like when I munch on feathers.
And the itching doesn't stop.
And the itching doesn't stop.
Without nightly bingo, where would your friends go?
Without nightly bingo, where'd your friends go?
Core memories are fragile.
Core memories are fragile.
I wish I had a papa-tater.
Wish I had a papa-tater.
Squabble not.
Squabble not.
No, we don't like the tuna, 'cause it's too thick and spicy.
Raise your drawing hand and repeat after me. I tease sea shrimp. Do you tease them as well?
I tease sea shrimp. Do you tease them as well?
I think I will flex during the talent show.
I think I will flex during the talent show.
The coffins have been stocked full of insects.
The coffins have been stocked full of insects.
It's weird to look at pictures of mung beans.
It's weird to look at pictures of mung beans.
I do love pigtails.
I do love pigtails.
Squabble not.
Squabble not.
Aren't you precious?
Yeah, you remember this. I remember you. Like the show?
What the? You catch that?
Aren't you tired of the jackals and the swimming tanks right down there next to the barn over near the Deadly Woods? I'm gonna crochet a better sweater. Darker and far more illegal shapes on it. To all the big truckers, little orphans, big truckers, and everything plus, I leave you with this. We have to get to the country where we have to hike down into Utah, and we will dine there for an 8-hour night in Utah. Burps and broccoli, bear cheese.
Oh my
Girl, what is that scent? Come here. That's very spicy.
Oh, gross.
Love
He
you.
went run.
They give you your mush? They give you your mush?
Not cool.
They give you a minute.
I need to pick my nose.
Well, you could have done it in the bathroom.
I did. Sharks!
Yeah, I thought you were gonna
Guys.
like this one.
This is when the villagers feed the king. Jumanji, my 2 cents, it's a hell of a good show.
I'm gonna do something funny tonight.
It looks like he actually said that.
I'm gonna cut off your face, you cake. Get ready to be just another faceless cake. Why don't you take a picture of me while I cut? I took mine out. I'm kind of nervous because I never really do this. You got a doll face. Yeah, he looks like a doll from the Chucky factory. You see it? I agree. Ooh. Had that goofy milk. Ooh.
So that was my first clip, but it all has a deeper meaning because, so it's funny, yes. But if somebody didn't know the language or somebody was watching this for the first time, they wouldn't know if that was real or if that was fake, if it was presented to them on the news as a real thing. It's all about context. And I thought something very interesting that has to do with context happened in the news recently. Do you know who Tim Dillon is, Jake?
I can't place it. Probably a very famous name, though, I'm sure.
Opa, do you know who Tim Dillon is?
Nope.
Yeah, he's a stand-up. If you saw him, you'd probably recognize him. But I had the privilege of watching him live with my wife here in Dallas. But anyways, that's besides the point. Check this out and how Tim Dillon exposes CNN.
When I first heard that CNN was having Tim Dillon on, I couldn't believe it. Why would Tim Dillon give CNN his platform? Why would a CNN reporter be dumb enough to enter the arena with Tim Dillon? But then Tim Dillon previewed all of it on Joe Rogan's show and shamed CNN, prodding them to release the full interview. Listen to this.
For an hour because I'm promoting my special, and then
my God. Did you really?
Yeah, and they asked
Who'd
me.
you talk to?
This girl Elle Reeves.
Was she cool?
Elle, she was cool. She does all the, you know, when you see the Vice documentaries where she talks to the Nazis and the incels.
Oh Jesus, she does.
It was that chick, and
Oh,
they sent
whoa.
her in.
Oh, that's a good move
I was
for
like,
them.
this is hilarious. So I'm sitting there, and she sits down. She's like, are there any left-wing comedians? And I named 10 of them that are all in arenas. And she goes, oh, because their whole thing now is that podcasters are the most powerful people in the world. And she goes, do you think you're friends of the new establishment? I said, well, there's 22 intelligence agencies, an entire legacy media. There's lots of Ivy League schools. There's this, there's that. Do I think Theo Von's the new establishment? No. I don't think so. I think you ran a really unpopular candidate. I don't think Americans like child sex changes, and I don't think they want an open border. And I think if you'd, co-opted some of those issues, you might have won. They said to me at CNN, they're like, we're editing the interview. I said, put the hour out. I sat there for an hour, and we had a nice conversation, but we talked for 1 hour, and I was like, put it out. I'm like, I understand if you can't put it out. And then she goes like this. She goes, I can't believe you'd show up. People have said that they can't come on here because Joe Rogan would get mad at them. I said, that's absolutely ridiculous.
Why would I care?
said, he doesn't care. He would never care. I said,
oh, that's so silly.
It's the silliest thing ever.
They think we're at war.
I just said, put out the hour online. If you can only put out a few minutes on network, fine. But it's wrong to have someone come in and talk for an hour.
Right.
And then not
use 3 minutes.
And then use 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's
So how much did they?
So Tim Dillon says, we don't know yet because it hasn't been put out. But now, ladies and gentlemen, the release has happened. Not only did CNN release on network an edited version of their Tim Dillon interview, which is incredible. It's still remarkable. And there's so much to talk about when you actually watch the clip that they put up. But they also released the full hour on CNN, and it is getting completely and totally ratioed into the sun in a good way. This is the full hour, to their credit, put up, and the comment section here is just delicious. This is a 22,000 comment section. CNN interviewing Tim Dillon like he's the vice president to the Joe Rogan Experience. It's the first time I've ever clicked on a CNN video. Very kind of Tim Dillon to share his platform with CNN. Joe Rogan spent a lifetime trying to find aliens, and Tim Dillon did it in 71 minutes. Glad to see CNN shedding light on someone who lost everything in the LA fires. Tim explaining nuance for 71 minutes to someone on heroin. All right. Okay. I can see and hear Tim fighting the urge to go full-blown rant mode. The year 2025, and CNN is asking Tim Dillon what's going on in the world right now. Okay. You can tell around the CNN office, the staff just talks about Joe Rogan like he's Voldemort. All right, here we go. Here's the clip that they aired on broadcast.
And before I play this, I think Tim Dillon was scared what they were going to do. I mean, if you film a long interview and they take you out of context, I mean, what good does that do for him? And what good does that do for everybody else if they Frankenbite it? They cut up all the clips and they put it together. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And-
that's a tactic they use all the time to kind of get their soundbite, and they did it to Trump for years. I mean, they
Yep.
did it to him worse than almost anybody.
Yeah. And I think that's why he was scared, and because he went on Joe Rogan before it even came out and said what he said, they had to put it out. Like, they had to. Their hands were tied. So anyways, let's get back to it.
All right. So here's the Tim Dillon clip on broadcast. It's spectacular. You're going to love this. Here.
The return of President Trump to the White House has also led to a surge in the popularity of right-wing comedy. One rising star in that world, Theo Von, was the opening act for President Trump when...
Oh, I forgot. The left is now pretending that they are the oppressed comedians and comics, and it's so weird because it's been the opposite way forever. So just I had to say that.
Talking to U.S. troops in Qatar.
One of the most famous suntans in the world is here today, Donald Trump. So, oh yeah, that dude's got the best one. Hell yeah. Oh, he's got a tone of his own, man. That guy, he sunbathes at a Sherwin-Williams, dude.
So here's Ellie Reeve on comedy's rightward swing and the faces at the forefront of it.
I don't have any friends in LA. I'm just friends with RFK and his wife. And that's all I need. That's all I need. Yeah, they're amazing. His wife Cheryl is the actress from Curb Your Enthusiasm. She's so sweet and optimistic. And, he's less optimistic because the CIA killed his whole family.
Hell, I don't do it anymore, man, and I'm not doing it.
Is your way up with cocaine more than anything else you can think of?
Cocaine will turn you into a damn owl, homie. You know what I'm saying? You'll be out on your own porch,
Comedy has changed. There's a hugely influential group of comedians with a kind of right-wing countercultural vibe. Tim Dillon, Andrew Schultz, Tony Hinchcliffe, Shane Gillis, Theo Von. They're friends, they're in Joe Rogan's orbit, and they podcast. some of them with very powerful people.
You drink coffee, man, or no?
Nah.
Really?
These guys all have Netflix specials, but most of their work by volume is podcasts, endless hours of podcasts. They talk about current events, in part, Tim Dillon said, because the YouTube algorithm rewards it.
These tariffs are for the Oompa Loompas.
There's a number of these rising star, new media comedians who have decided to throw their hat in directly.
Who made this guy a comedy expert? I want to know that, because he does not look very funny. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at his face. It's not funny at all.
With the right side of the American political spectrum, who are ascendant. I don't think you can deny that.
Republicans are the party with a good sense of humor.
Hey, did you see what his book was titled, though? It was like...
I didn't see it.
Hold on, let me go back just a second. All right, look at the bottom here. Co-author. This guy is the co-author of the book. That's Not Funny. How the Right Makes Comedy Work for Them.
So stupid.
With the right side of the American political spectrum, who are ascendant. I don't think you can deny that.
Republicans are the party with a good sense of humor.
Trump's campaign did see potential in their audiences, and he had a strategy of reaching young men on YouTube through a significant podcast tour. More did vote for him in 2024 than in 2020.
Barron is 18. He's handsome. He's tall.
Yeah.
He's
on the
rich.
left.
He's got the whole ball.
He's unleashed in New York City. Are you sure you want to reverse Roe v. Wade now?
Dillon hosted JD Vance just before the election.
Okay, Kamala Harris is the person who, when you tell a really funny joke, she says, "Well, that was like kind of offensive." Right.
Yeah. Did you find him to be authentic?
I found him to be a politician. These are not the coolest people in our world. They're like dork politicians.
Yeah, but they want you to make them look cool.
I think they want to tell people who they are, and it's a version of who they are that wants a job.
He invited Bernie Sanders on his show, but the senator's staff hasn't been able to schedule it yet. Dillon says he invited on Tim Walz during the campaign, but didn't hear back.
Who's been the candidate of stopping the stupid wars? Basically nobody in 40 years, with the lone exception of my running mate, right, of Donald J. Trump.
What attracted me to a lot of what Vance said in that interview was that he was saying things like, we don't want to run the American economy on permanent war, and we don't think it's a good thing.
The wars continue.
That's why I'm disappointed. People who seem to...
There's this slang in internet debate, to steel man, which means to use a very strong version of an argument. Dillon and I used it when talking about criticism of his...
We don't know what a straw man means.
Can I make the Steelman case for you being bad?
Yes, absolutely.
The Steelman case for you being bad is you rolled out the red carpet for JD Vance to make his case that he's just like you, man. He likes jokes, he hates war, and then that enables him to get in office and deport people on college campuses for saying this war is bad.
Do I criticize that? I absolutely do. Your case makes sense if I go on my show and I go, JD made me, I realized something's different and they should be deported and we should do this. If I went along with it, I'm bad. I'm saying I don't agree with that. Don't deport these people. It's absurd. So if JD Vance wants to come on my show and goes, hey, I believe this, that, and the other thing, and I go, that sounds good. But then in practice, he does the opposite thing, I call him out. And if you don't call them out, that's when you suck.
If you can both be attaching yourself to a wildly famous person like Donald Trump and also be labeling yourself as countercultural, even as you ask, frankly, not very challenging questions, that's a real sort of combination. It's kind of a magic trick that they've pulled, but it's a good business model.
But they don't back every Trump policy. There are some cracks in this loose coalition, especially over the idea of war with Iran and the war in Gaza.
Well, that's one thing that Trump said. If I get in there, 24 hours, the war's over.
That's a tough one. 24 is tough.
That's obviously.
But hopefully they figure it out because it is, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
The human toll is unreal.
Like, I'm kind of conflicted about Trump, like, with his stance on Gaza, right? To me, that's like...
I totally disagree with him on it, and it's like, it's hard to reconcile it.
We should try to get Candace Owens to come to TrutherCon. That would be great.
Hey, yeah, I mean, it's just a phone call away. You just got to call the right person. So if anybody listening right now knows the right person, you give us.
Or if we want to just keep sending emails to her, everybody did it, man. That would be awesome.
Yeah, what was that story about Evel Knievel? I love when you tell it, man.
Okay, so the only reason Evel Knievel, like the way that he got famous, he was just an ordinary guy. He could jump on his motorcycle and stuff. So when he got Caesar's Palace, which made him Evel Knievel, like made him a household name, he decided, I'm going to try something different. So what he did was he called I guess he was the owner of Caesar's Palace, and he said, "Hi, I'm so-and-so with the Daily Mail. I heard somebody named Ovel Canavel is going to be doing a jump there." And he'd go, "I don't know what you're talking about." And then he'd call again in a different voice and be like, "Hi, this is so-and-so with a different newspaper. Is Ebel Knievel going to be there?" And he was like, "Man, I don't know what you're talking about." And the owner kept hanging up. And then Evel Knievel showed up one day, and he said, "Boy, I've been looking all over for you." And he got the jump in Caesar's Palace, and the rest is history. Pretty epic.
Yeah, I love that story, man. Yeah.
All right. Well,
many ways.
I guess I'm curious whether you think or expect or hope that just as these politicians have seen something to gain in your audience, do you think they'll listen at all?
Will politicians listen to their constituents?
Yeah.
What a great question with an unknowable answer. I mean, I think a lot of people elected Donald Trump hoping that we were not going to continue foreign wars and spending American money for foreign wars. This is the whole thing. Everybody campaigns on a laundry list of things they're going to do, and are they going to do them, and are they going to listen? I mean, it's a great question.
Ellie Reeve, CNN, New York.
The news continues right here.
I mean, I got to hand it to them. I don't know if CNN thought this made them look good or what, but they look like really stupid here.
So that's pretty much it, guys. But it just gets the idea across because, okay, Tim Dillon is in the LGBTQ community, and they're calling him a right-wing comedian. Is that not insane? Like, it's a crazy world. The fact that we have to hold them accountable for the context now, not only the content, but the context of what they're saying. Does that not like blow your mind?
Yeah, I think it's very telling that they're setting up some of these comedians that have very funny dialogue and funny jokes, but have been fairly liberal in terms of their public stance, and they're painting them as the go-to alt culture conservative comedians. And it's really interesting because when I think of like Tony Hinchcliffe and Joe Rogan, I don't think conservative representative. I don't think, I think they definitely have
a funny guy. Guy.
So it's very interesting to see how they're painting people in these categories to help direct the narrative.
Yeah, for sure. And there are a lot of them that when they get taken out of context, they make them out to be all these bad people. Like Dave Chappelle's a good example. They pretty much silenced Dave Chappelle at one point because he made a joke that offended somebody. And so if he were to go on an interview, they would Frankenbite it and chop it all up and make him seem like a monster, like, I don't know. I just think we should demand, the right context. Like we should still demand that we get the full truth. You know what I mean? And I think that's important today. So, anywho, what do you got for me, Opa? You got something?
We can hold on to it. Do it later.
Well, that was my last clip. Could we play maybe a TrutherCon ad?
Yep.
Guys, check out this new ad.
Huge is coming. We're building the world's largest truther convention. It's called TrutherCon.
This is the place where truthers unite to explore knowledge, ask tough questions, to challenge the mainstream narrative.
But it isn't just a convention. It's a movement for free thought, open discussion, and the right to question everything.
We are bringing in some of the biggest names of the truther community, so expect deep discussions, mind-blowing revelations, and connections with like-minded truth seekers.
If you feel like the truth is being hidden from you, this is where you need to be.
And the best part, it's 100% grassroots, built by truthers for truthers, straight from our Skiba News Nation family. TrutherCon will be a massive networking event. I believe this is going to be the most exciting truther event ever.
October 2025 in Dallas, Texas. We hope to see you there.
And as of right now, tickets are live. I'll post a link down here. But people are so excited about it, and they're selling fast, and we hope to see so many of you guys there. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, this is definitely the next phase of Skiba News Nation as we start to grow this event, and I'm super stoked. I think having everybody under one roof who can exchange notes, and we can bump shoulders with some of these truthers that have done so much in the field of sharing alternative theories and calling the big man out for when he's being a hypocrite, and and showing kind of the inconsistent narrative of the world, and how there's more to meets the eye to what we call truth. I mean, I'm so excited, man. There's going to be so many theories and theorizing, and people like having revelations after revelations because one person sparks somebody else off. And man, I'm just so stoked for just that element of it. Of course, we're going to have some amazing speakers getting into some of the most cutting edge, nitty gritty, present moment, important topics that you can possibly talk about. And I'm just so interested to see some of the things that come out of the conference.
Yeah, I remember when I first pitched it to you, I went to the Flat Earth conference here in Dallas where my dad and my mom were. And I had to go back and forth for them like a gopher. But when I was there, I was like, man, it would be so cool if there was like everything truth, like not just one lane. And so that's been the idea for TrutherCon, I mean, this whole time. And it's going to be that. And I think it's awesome. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked. And everybody watching now, we have several hundred people watching live. Please hit that like button and share this video out if you enjoyed our conversation tonight and had fun with us. Like what you like, support what you like, and man, yeah, it's been a good live show tonight.
Yeah, Opa, you said you didn't want to play your clips, or you do?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Well, guys, one more thing. Feel free to call our Skiba News Nation hotline anytime. Excuse my my artwork, but you leave us a voicemail, a topic, whatever you guys want to talk about, and we'll talk about it here on our live streams every Sunday. So you guys do that and be on the show with us. So it's been fun.
Awesome. All right, guys. Until next time, have a good evening, and we'll see you on our Friday premiere at 4:44.
Yep. Much love, guys.